So again, welcome everyone. This is the tastytrade backtesting software demo. Today we're going to go over what every topic means that's there, like the details, summaries, and logs, as well as any trades you can analyze, and just how to use the platform overall in the backtesting. And also towards the end, I'm going to take questions from the audience, as well as potentially do a couple backtesting strategies from the audience as well. So drop those in the chat. So first, let's just go over the backtesting software. You can locate that here on the desktop platform. On the website, it's also on the left, and it has the same logo there, and it says backtesting. Let me just draw an arrow to that as well. That would be right down here, just under where it says positions, trade, and activity. Here is where you can access the backtesting tool. And so, of course, a disclaimer, past results do not indicate future results. And so this is just for analysis purposes. And this is a backtesting software. In no way does this predict the future or anything like that. So let's get into it here. And so this is our backtesting software. This is the first thing that you'll see. You'll see the symbol up top. We have about 150 to 200 symbols, and we're still constantly adding some, just like our Tasty Trade courses. This is a living, breathing thing as well. And so you'd be able to view all of these symbols, and we're always looking to add more. And so any symbols you want, please, as you see here, it says at the bottom, feedback@tastytrade.com. Anything on the platform, please let us know if you have any suggestions. Our head of development would be more than happy to look at those. And so here we've got the symbols and then the time intervals. We have a few different preset time intervals for just like the past 12 months all the way to the past 5 years. In this, we have 13 years of data. And then we have things like the 2024 volatility spike, different market periods that we've chosen. If you want to just automatically select those to stress test or see how your strategy would do in those different market conditions. And so we have things like the post-pandemic surge as well as the pandemic sell-off. And so we have all of these different trade intervals that you can look at, as well as if you want to do custom or go all the way back to 2013 as well. And so here, I'm just going to leave it on the past 12 months for our first test. And then here are the strategies. You can select just one leg and then add to it, as well as choose a given strategy. So here, for example, just for simplicity's sake, we can do a short put. And then this will bring you to the interface to where you can customize any strategy. So you can add another leg, you can delete a leg, and then there's entry and exit conditions that we'll go over in just a moment. And just to describe what the order ticket will say, you'll see the direction. You can either choose buy or sell, as well as call or put. And you can add up to 4 option legs for strategies like butterflies, iron condors, ratios, anything like that, any advanced strategies, as well as anything as simple as just selling a put. And so here you can change the quantity. From 1, you can change it to 5, and then anything beyond 10, you can always just scale up. And then the strike. The strike is chosen based on delta, and that's because as the price changes over time, you can't say like in SPY, I just want to sell the 600 put, which would be close to at the money. As you can see, SPY is trading at 602 here. At one point, that strike was probably not even offered in 2013, right? And so that's why we would base it off delta. And then days until expiration, you can choose any amount of DTE here. And then if you're looking to backtest like 0-day strategies, we don't have that, but you can also choose 1 DTE. And as it says at the bottom, or it will say once we run it, that all the options trades are done 15 minutes before the close at 2:45 p.m. Central. And then so here, let's go over some of the entry conditions. If you want to enter a trade every day, just to potentially like smooth out the P&L curve, you can do that. Obviously, it will take an extensive amount of capital, but if you want to look at what the trade would look like every day, if you entered it every day, you can select that. If you only want to enter it, let's say exactly when it hits 45 DTE, then you can select on exact DTE match. And then there's also on specific days of the week. Let's say you want to be very realistic. let's say Wednesdays, I have, a longer lunch break and I want to do it every Wednesday. So I'm going to select just Wednesdays. For this test, we'll do it every day. Just keep it a little bit more simple here. And then you can also limit the number of active trades. If you wanted to test, let's say, hey, my account size isn't that big. I just want to see if I did this trade throughout the last year, if I did only 5 of these at a time. And then you can also say either don't enter a new trade, or you can close the oldest trade and enter a new trade. So also that would be smoothing out that P&L curve. And then the exit conditions can also exit at a specific DTE if you're looking to test a strategy, whether you exit at something like 21 days, or in this case, you could also exit at 30 days, and you can just type in the box right here. Or if you wanted to exit, let's say like 1 week left, you can exit with 5 DTE. And then you can also exit after a certain amount of days in a trade. Let's say you only want to spend like 5 days in a trade, you could go in there and just type 5. And then we also have stop loss at a percent of premium that you can add. You can just add the percentage there, or you can also add a take profit at the percent of premium as well. So let's go ahead and run our first back test with selling a put at the 30 delta on SPY for the last 12 months. And so this is what it would look like here. On the left-hand side of the graph, we have the prices of SPY. And then on the bottom, we have all the dates. And then to the right, you would have your overall account's profit and loss. And then down here, we have the different metrics, like the total profit and loss, the average profit and loss per trade, the max drawdown, and the return on used capital. So just to explain these here, the total profit and loss, this would be how much you made from the start of the time period until the end. And then we have it also being compared to a buy and hold strategy as well. And so this would be if you invested the amount of capital you used into SPY. And this is also, I'll explain the amount of capital you use in just a moment. If you invested that into SPY, that is how much you would have received a return on. So pretty close to selling the put of $100,000. And then the average profit and loss per trade, pretty simple statistic there, taking the profit and loss of each trade and then doing an average of those numbers. And then we have the max drawdown, and this is as a percentage of the credit received. And so this would be how much of the drawdown did you see when doing this strategy? What was the biggest drawdown that you had? And then return on used capital. This would be what percentage return you had on the overall used capital. And then this used capital number is coming from all of the trades you have on at once, which you can also look at in the details, which I'll go over in just a moment. And I think I misspoke when I was talking about the max drawdown. That wouldn't be 15% of the premium received. That would be of the overall capital used. And so now we can go into the details here. And so these details would show all of the trades and the different trading metrics, like the number of trades, how many of them were profitable, the profit rate, how many of the trades were profitable divided by the total amount of trades, as well as the largest individual profit, and a bunch of different statistics here. And a couple of my favorite metrics to look at here would be the average buying power per trade, because let's say you want to enter it every day in the back test just to smooth out the profit and loss graph a little bit, but you want to see realistically how many of these you can have on. So for example, over this time frame, the average buying power of a 30 delta naked put in SPY would be around $10,000, around 10,500. And this would show the average premium as well. Those are my two favorite metrics to look at to really see how you can make this strategy fit for your account. And then, of course, we're also very transparent about this, the amount of fees as well on the platform. And then we can go into the logs. The logs is an extremely interesting page because of these 4 different tabs here. So you can look at every single trade that was done here. You can also look at the buying power of these trades. And then this would have all of the rows for all of 365 days, but all of the trading days that you were able to place these trades because this was done every day. And so here you can really dig in to what you want to see about the platform and about the strategy for all the given trades. And then under orders, we have every order that was executed. And not only does this include opening trades, if you were to close them, it would have the closing trades, but it also includes the exercise and assignment. So if we keep scrolling down here, there will be, so here this got assigned. And so this would show the selling to close the shares that you were assigned from selling those naked puts. And then so just to show this here at the bottom, every order is executed at the mid price at 2:45 Central Time, which is just before the market close. The reason we chose this time, because you got to choose one time at some point if you're doing a trade each day, would be this is one of the most liquid hours of the market. And so just to get a very fair mid price for the strategy, we chose that time. And then to go over transactions, this would show all of the transactions that were made. This is just like the history tab, but for the back test that you did. And so this would show all of the trades, all of the different strikes in vivid detail there. So it would show how many trades as well were done, as well as the day, the time, of course, 2:45, as we said. And this, you can see how many trades were open all at the same time, which is where we get that total buying power figure from. And that's how we compare this strategy to something like buy and hold. And then so here, this shows a put that has expired. And then this would show a debit of 0 just because it expired worthless. And that would show that, it expired out of the money and you get to keep the full credit that you received for selling the option. And then daily settlement, this tab is to track the net liquidity of the overall portfolio from when you opened it and then throughout the entire time of that interval that you selected for the trade. And all of this information on the logs as well is downloadable here. You can download that into a CSV file if you wanted to look at it on a graph, if you wanted to manipulate some numbers, look at moving averages and stuff like that. And so let's click on this button here for a new back test so we can test out some other strategies. And then so here we can add another leg. And then what I can do is what do I got on my list here? We could do a strangle in XLU. This is one of the spider ETFs. We have 200 symbols here, 150 to 200 symbols. We've got the big names, like SPY, NVIDIA, Tesla. We have all of those. And we've got the ETFs like XLU, which I'm going to use here. We've also got things like EWZ, the Brazilian ETF that, is maybe less traded, but we've got all different symbols here. And we've got I think it's 150 to 200 of them. We're always updating it as well, like I said. And so let me pull up just a strangle and XLU. The reason I chose this is a bit of a smaller buying power requirement. And then here we can also manipulate some of the entry and exit conditions as well. So here, instead of entering it every day, we can do something like specific days of the week. Let's say Friday, you get off of work early and this is the day that you want to trade. And we can also limit the number of active trades to something like 5, saying you want to be neutral in XLU for a given amount of time. Excuse me, you can only have so many trades on at one point. And then here, we can do something like exit at a specific DTE. Rather than 5, we can exit at something like 21 days. And you can manipulate these however you would like. And so instead of something like the 30 delta, let's just try the 20. And instead of 45 days, how many days until expiration? See, and this is the cool thing about having this in the platform. You can just take a look what the monthly expiration is right now. We can go to the trade page here. So the next monthly expiration around that, 45-day interval, if that's what you like to trade, it's 51 days. And you can take a look at the live prices if you want to make this trade now. For something at the 20 delta, you could choose maybe like the 81.73 or the 82.73. That would be up to you. And then you can take this, and if you want to do this strategy, whatever you think the market is going to do, you can select a previous time frame for what you think is going to happen in the next, however long. Let's say you wanted to test this during the, say, inflation-induced bear market. If you think this is what's going to happen, you think inflation's coming back, it's still going to be high here. This is what I think the market's going to do. And you want to test this strategy during that time. That is exactly what the backtesting platform is for. And so let's say, like you said, you want to do it every Friday and you only want 5 trades on at a time. So you can change the expiration to 51 days, and that matches the exact trade that you could do right now. And then let's go ahead and run this back test and see how it works. And so it looks like here, this wasn't the best strategy for that time frame in the market. And so again, we have the price of XLU on the left, and then your profit and loss on the right here. And so overall, if you did this strategy, having only 5 trades on at a time, so it'd be a loss of around 2,000, where the buy and hold was only 226. So let's say you wanted to get neutral in XLU and you thought this was going to happen in the market. Maybe you might want to try a different strategy or choose a different underlying if you think this is what's going to happen. The whole reason we have this is we want your trade to fit your assumption as what's going to happen in the market. And so you can backtest, see, hey, if I think this is what's going to happen in the market, I want to see how this strategy did before I actually put it on. And this gives you the ultimate confidence when being able to trade. And so here we see an average loss of $53 per trade, a max drawdown of 34.39%. Whereas, the buy and hold still had a pretty big, for buy and hold, that's pretty big drawdown of 20% as well. And then the amount of used capital. So there's a lot more realistic for a bit of a smaller account, especially if you're doing 1 trade at a time. We saw the buying power right now was about $1,000. And this is a real life trade you can make right now would be, so it's about $1,100. And you can back test this in the platform. Let's say before I put this on, I want to take a further look into this and see what's going on. If I think there's going to be, a 2022-like market, then you can see here, hey, if that's what I think it's going to be, maybe I stay away from XLU and see how it reacted. Or if you think, I think the utilities are going to do something different than what they did in 2022, this would be the exact reason you have something like the backtest to use. And then here we can go over some of the details. So it'd show the different graphs. So it looks like here towards the end of 2022 is where you really saw your losses. So if you go back to summary, you could say, hey, when, XLU pops back, if I want to run that strangle and stay neutral, it would still make a decent amount of profit as well as XLU did, but being more capital efficient as well, right? And so these are all things to consider when doing these different strategies and using the backtest. And then we can look at the logs as well to see any of the trades, the different orders that were entered, if there's like any sort of exercise and assignment. I doubt there'd be early assignment in this case just because we're already closing at that 21 DTE area. But you can always see how the early management works. And then let's say, okay, maybe I want to try a different backtest with the same strategy, but maybe instead of managing at 21 DTE, maybe that's managing the winners too soon, as well as it's protecting you from the losers, but managing the winners a bit too soon. Maybe you could try something like a week after that, maybe like 14 days. And then you could run this back test. And okay, this actually did worse, exposing you to that greater gamma risk towards the end of the trade that made it even worse, especially during that latter half of the year. If we go to the details, you'd be able to see that. It wasn't, in this case, it wasn't managing the winners quick enough, and then they could potentially turn into losers. And so this would be exactly what the back test is for. And then another comment I want to make when using the strategy is about like overfitting to the data. You don't want to make your strategy so specific that it works perfectly in a certain market condition. Even if you think that's what's going to happen, your strategy may not play out exactly the same. And instead of like closing it at, we started out with 21 days. Instead of closing it at 21, you try like 22 or 23 to make it exactly perfect with the data. That's not what the backtest is used for. The backtest is supposed to be, this is my assumption on the market. here is what I think XLU is going to do, or excuse me, here is my assumption on the market. I want to see how XLU performed in that market if I think that's what's going to happen. And I want to see how my strategy compares to something like that. And that's what the backtesting platform is for. And so I'm going to go down here into the chat and take a look at some questions that we've got. Please ask some questions now, and also feel free to drop a couple back tests that you would like me to run. I'd be more than happy to take 2 or 3 from the audience here as well, just to see what what you guys want to look at if you want my analysis on those back tests as well. So I'll wait a couple moments here just for some different back test ideas. I already see Eugene with Tesla. Let me go pull that up here. And also, if you just type the first letter of the symbol, that'll bring you straight to like the T section in this case. So I'd go like all the way up to where I'm in the A. And if I just press T, it'll bring you to the first T symbol. So just a quick tip on navigation there. And Eugene, what do you want me to run in Tesla here? Do you want me to do something like an iron condor, maybe some sort of credit spread? Broken wing butterfly? No problem. And so here is where you want to see when you have all 4 legs, this is how you can adjust them. And so for broken wing butterfly, this is a bit of a more complex strategy, which will be coming out on our Tasty Trade courses as well for the advanced strategies. And so if you want to learn how to do this, please check those out. And so you can change the direction to sell and buy, and then make sure you change the type to call and put. And so, for example, for the sell, let's do something like a 20 delta. And then on the downside, we can buy it back at 15 deltas. And then these would be all puts in this case. And so because this is a 3-legged strategy, you would only want to have 3 of those legs populated. We would be selling 2 20 deltas and then buying one. For example, let's say on the downside, we buy a 10 delta, and then on the upside, we buy a 25 to make it broken wing there. And then let's say to smooth out the P&L curve, we did this every day. And then for DTE, did you mention a DTE here? I'll just leave it at 51 because that's the current expiration we have. And then I'll let this run to expiration, and then we can run this back test here. Oh, wait, and also let me change because this is still, let me just put it to the past 12 months to make it a little bit simpler here. And then so it looks like this did not outperform the buy and hold because pretty much Tesla this year just ran up. It's pretty tough to beat something on a buy and hold when it does nothing but go up in the past 12 months. And so more or less that's what it did. So a strategy like a broken wing butterfly, which is still to the upside, but has a bit of downside protection, a big profit tent on the downside as well, may not beat a strategy like buy and hold when the market just goes straight up. And then let me try another strategy for something in a small account for the last 12 months. Let's try something like a put credit spread on SPY here. And we also do have SPX as well. We didn't have this at one point, but now we have this available. Yeah, so if you've got a smaller account and just want to do a put credit spread here, let's say you wanted to get a little bit more aggressive with the delta and maybe go something like a 35 for the sell leg and then 30 for the buy leg. This would be a bullish assumption, and you can do this in a smaller account. And so instead of running this every day, we could just do one every week on Wednesday, for example, and only have one trade going. And let's say you thought SPY was still going to go up for the next 12 months. This is something you could expect to see when selling a put credit spread at 35 days till 35 delta with 51 days till expiration. And then we can also exit at something like 21 DTE. And then so here, it looks like it was very similar to the buy and hold. So you may potentially see the same thing as well if you think the market's going to perform the same way it did. And so also, of course, during this this like whole yen carry trade period, there was a lot of volatility in the market and a sharp down move. And so of course the put credit spread would not perform very well in this time frame. But also this doesn't account for any sort of management you do as well. So if you're potentially like rolling positions to the next expiration, this of course would not account for that. But you see, when the market recently was pretty stable, and then in other periods where it's been stable, you'll outperform that buy and hold scenario as well. Yes, so for 0 DTE, Yogev, we wouldn't be able to do anything for 0 DTE, but we do have a feature where you can set it to 1 day till expiration. So for example, let me pull up SPX here. And then here, let's say you want to do something like an iron condor. Here's what let's just call it the 20 delta with 15 delta wings. And then I want to rerun that put credit spread I did. I think I had a mismatch on the contracts there. So I'll rerun that in just a moment. But just to show what you can do for 0 DTE, you can change this to 1 day till expiration. And then that would sort of simulate what you would want to do for 0 DTE. Let's say you wanted to do one of these every day. And then we would be able to run that back test in SPX for the last 12 months. And this would sort of simulate what you saw for 0 DTE options. So first, when the market was neutral to going up here, you would have made a profit. But then as the market it seems like it's, exceeded its expected move every day or more or less on the days here by going up. And so you would have just seen a constant loss there towards the end. And then, so I want to rerun that SPY credit spread back test here. So let's call it 51 days, managing at 21, one contract each this time. I'll go back to that 35 delta for the short. And then we'll just do this once a week with only one trade on at a time. Or we could just do it once a week with multiple trades on at a time, because that still wouldn't take too much of the account there. And yeah, so here, still pretty much the same results. It would only take $3,400 worth of capital here. And then you would have seen a total profit of 1,019, so almost $2,000 there. And then this would have quite outperformed the buy and hold in this case. So if you were able to get aggressive with the capital efficient manner of option spreads, and if you're consistently right on the direction, then you would see an outsized performance with the buy and hold strategy. Whereas it looks like for return on capital, you had 56.5% compared to the buy and hold of 24.5%. So quite a bit of outsized returns there. And then the reason, of course, would be because you have a much more capital efficient strategy with an option spread. And then if you're right on direction, for most of the year, you would have seen outsized gains to the upside. And then is it possible to backtest a wheel strategy on IWM? To do a wheel strategy, it sort of depends, because if you're looking to get assigned on stock and then hold the stock with a covered call on it, we wouldn't be able to simulate that. We do have the buy and hold there as well. But if you're looking what you can do is, if you want to combine any sort of strategies like selling a put and then doing a covered call, you'd be able to go into the logs here, and then you can download any of this information and then compare it to when you sell the call against something like the buy and hold. So you could do for example, you could do a naked call. Here, let's go to IWM. Keep that as sell, change this to call. Let's still just call it the 35 delta, and then we won't exit. We'll do this every day. And then we can run the back test. And then, so this would show what the P&L would be like on the naked call. And then you would be able to compare this to the buy and hold numbers, as well as selling a naked put. And this would take extra work. We wouldn't be able to do this just on the the software here, you would need to download that to a CSV, and then you can compare the numbers and add and subtract them from each other there. And if you have more questions about that, please send us an email at support@tastytrade.com, and we can take a further look into that, potentially get you connected with the creator of this to see a better strategy on how to do something like that, on how to backtest that sort of strategy. And then, yes, I see a comment about watching the replay. So we will have a replay of this, and then hopefully, if the people upstairs think I did a good job, the head honchos, maybe it'll get posted to YouTube as well. I think I'll be keeping my job after this one. Sometimes after the previous demos, I don't know. But if you still have any questions, please keep asking them. Otherwise, feel free to leave. I think I've covered most of the back testing here. But if you have any questions, I can still keep answering them for the next around 10 minutes until 11:45 Central. I'd be more than happy to answer any further questions. I see a question about futures. We do not have futures on the back testing. The issue with futures is because there's different prices for different expirations. So it'd be tough to find the marks on that. And then we would potentially, need to reach out to a different data provider for these prices here. And so that is why we don't have futures. But any other questions, please ask them. I'll stay around for a little bit here. Otherwise, thank you all for attending. We really appreciate it. And this is the tastytrade backtesting software. Again, on the web-based platform, it works exactly the same, and you can test any sort of strategy with any of the given symbols. We've got around 150 to 200 symbols, so please, use this. This is what we want you to use it for. It's free, of course, just as a lot of things at tastytrade are here. And so please use this platform. And if you ever have any questions, please email us at support@tastytrade.com. And if you have any questions about any trades you're doing, any account information, funding, opening another account, or anything like that, always feel free to give us a call or use a live chat feature as well. Mark can link to our contact information, and please never hesitate to give us a call or live chat. We are always more than happy to help. And any other questions, I'll stick around for a little bit here about the backtesting platform. But anything else, feel free to email us, live chat, or give us a call again. And thank you guys for joining the demo. So we don't have to where you can do a trade to without any money on the line, like a demo account. But instead of waiting for the results of a demo account, that's why we have the back testing platform. Paper trading can take a long time. Let's say you want to test the next 12 months. You could just test on what you think would happen in the next 12 months on the back testing. So we don't have anything like a demo account, but to combat that, we have something that's much more efficient and quicker to test any strategies in the back testing platform. Imran, unfortunately, you cannot set entry conditions based on IVR. We don't have, definitely send us an email to feedback@tastytrade.com. That sounds like a very interesting feature that maybe we could potentially add, enter based on volatility conditions. But unfortunately, we just have something that would be, these are the different entry conditions. But I think that would be a great addition to the platform. Please send us an email to feedback@tastytrade.com. We would definitely, I think that's phenomenal. And so, yeah, I think that would be a great addition to the platform. So yeah, send us an email and we can take a look at it. Yeah, so just to repeat how to do the 0 DTE back tests, what you can do is I know SPX is popular. We can just leave it at IWM. You would just want to enter one day till expiration, and then you can do it entry conditions, whatever you want, probably not any exit conditions. And then as long as you have it at 1 DTE, this is sort of simulating 0 DTE options. It's not exact because it does take the overnight move into account, but to have a similar time frame, this is the best that we have on the platform just because we don't have any sort of intraday options data and we're taking it at the end of the day. And then if no one has okay, I see we've got a question here. So we wouldn't have so to just repeat David's question here, if you're not looking at the chat, he says it would be a great way to enter like number of times per month. I would send a question to that or a suggestion about that to feedback at tastytrade.com as well, because you want to do like 60 DTE trades every 2 weeks. And so we just have each day of the week, but that's what's so great about being able to download the logs here. And so if you want to download the logs and then you can just go into Excel or whatever spreadsheet service you use and then start just deleting every other trade that's entered, you would be able to do so that way. And I know it's not as efficient as having it on the platform. That's something that we could potentially add, just another entry condition. But for now, that would be a way to do it. And then so yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a way to enter the trade for just the last 15 minutes of the day. The the closest we can get to zero DTE would be doing the 1 day till expiration, but like I said, that does take into account the overnight move. And then if there's no other questions, I think that will be it for me here. Again, thank you all for joining the webinar. And if you'll get an email with the replay. If I did a good job, it'll get posted to YouTube. We'll see. And then if you ever have any questions about anything, always feel free to give us a call, live chat, or email. Thank you all and have a great rest of your day.